This year in 2023, we've had a lot of biography drama films, and Dumb Money is no exception to that rule. But ultimately, what did I think about Dumb Money, and should you be checking it out in theaters? Well, stick around and let's discuss it. Dumb Money is the ultimate David versus Goliath tale based on the insane true story of everyday people who flipped the script on Wall Street and got rich by turning GameStop into the world's hottest company. The film stars Paul Dano, Pete Davidson, America Ferrera, Nick Offerman, Anthony Ramos, Seth Rogen, Shailene Woodley, and many others, and was directed by Craig Gillespie, and he's done films like $1 Million Arm, the Fright Night remake, Lars and the Real Girl, and Mr. Woodcock. With Dumb Money, when I saw the trailer for this, I honestly was like, man, another true story biography film in 2023. We've had so many of these lately that I've been kind of getting tired of them. There's just been so many of them. Some of them have been good, others have been bad, some of them have been kind of mediocre. I didn't really know how to feel about this because the whole GameStop thing happened very recently, and I found that with this movie making it so soon, I just didn't know what kind of value it would really have. Starting off with my positives of what I thought that I liked about this film. Well, I do like the cast of this film. I think there's so much talent here on screen. I really do enjoy the story of Paul Dano and his family. Shailene Woodley plays his wife in here. He has a kid, and he is a YouTuber like myself, and he is just talking about stocks and what stock he really believes in. And in this case, it's GameStop, and him running this YouTube channel, showing off his numbers and just things that he really likes about GameStop and why people should purchase the stock of GameStop. His influence makes GameStop actually go up in the rankings of people actually making money. The biggest problem though for me for this movie is the transitioning of this movie. The way that it's laid out is you have Paul Dano in one story, and then you have a bunch of other characters on screen. And while the acting of this film is not bad in any way, shape, or form, the only character that I can point out that I do think that was a little bit annoying to me was Pete Davidson. He was trying to drop the comedy in this film, which really didn't make me laugh whatsoever. This film had definitely had a little bit of identity as to what it was trying to do. I felt like it was just throwing a bunch of characters at us and really just undercooking each character, giving us very little background on these characters, or really giving the audience really not too much context, just them, buying these stocks, having like their career established, and that's pretty much it for most of these characters. Now, even though there's this big cast and we have America Ferrera on screen with Anthony Ramos, all these different people that have different jobs and they're buying into this GameStop actual stock here, I just think the movie, it doesn't have really much of style. Transitioning into different scenes, cutting and quick editing throughout this film. The soundtrack for this film is absolutely awful. We have Seth Rogen on a call, and then we get Cardi B's WAP playing in the background. And throughout this film, we have Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, Nicki Minaj music playing throughout this film. I was just like, no, this does not fit with the film at all. Transitioning wise with that music does not fit with this film at all. There's also a lot of littered TikTok references, Reddit references throughout this film, which social media references, they're all in films nowadays. I'm not a big TikToker or fan of TikTok, but there is a lot of that in this film. There's also a lot of points in this film when they do show the characters, and a lot of times when they're showing the characters, they are looking at their phones a lot. Like, you'll see the screen of their phone, and you'll see them looking at how the stock's doing, if they're going to buy into the stock, how much money they're making. The other problem with this film is it's dealing with stocks, and the average person doesn't know what stocks really are, how they are actually formed, how they really go in like rankings of low to high, different terminology that they use in here that they never actually explain. And the average person is not going to know that. I didn't know a lot about stocks on this. I mean, I know a little bit, but not a ton. And there's certain terms in here like hedge funds and other things that they use in terms that I just don't think a lot of people are going to really care. They're going to watch this movie and they're going to be like, okay, I don't know what they're talking about. I'm not going to look this crap up. I'm a little bored. And that's kind of how I was in this film, because the main story with Paul Dano's character is very interesting. And I really wanted more of it, but there's so much lack of focus within that story. I do think that this film, it's a tough sell. You have a story where, you're talking about stock market stuff, and I don't think general audiences really want to go to a movie theater and go watch a movie like this. I think this is the kind of movie where people look at the trailer and they go, oh, okay, that's streaming, or I'll just, I'll do VOD later for that. And I have to say that I actually agree with that assumption, because this is definitely like a TV movie kind of film. I think it works better as maybe as a documentary. I also found that with Paul Dano's character. Now, they have him, talking about stocks and, what he really believes in. And even though they don't have the focus on him all the time, I think when the point where he starts to really get into trouble with the government as to what's going on with this stock and what he's actually doing, I think that it's very much rushed, because I remember when they got into that, there was probably about 20 minutes left in the film, and they just kind of rushed and hurried up with it. And then they ended the film, which I won't say exactly how the ending is, although you could probably figure it out easily. But the way that they end this film, I don't think it's anything else different than any other kind of biography film. Like, it goes through kind of the same kind of transitioning and motions that you see in any other kind of biography kind of film. And I also feel like with this story, because it's so new and so fresh, in a way, the ending, it's kind of anticlimactic in certain ways. So that hurts the film a little bit, because it just doesn't have really kind of a conclusion in a way. So that definitely hurts it for sure. As far as the score for this film, I would give it a 2 out of 5. It's definitely not a rewatchable film in the slightest. Acting is fine, but I just wasn't really that intrigued with this film. And I think overall it does a very poor job of actually trying to get people into the stock market game, understand terminology of what they're actually talking about, and actually give a damn about what is going on in this movie. Because other than the fact that this is just talking about GameStop and how the stock is rising at this time, other than that, certain things going on with these hedge fund people and bad guys that we're supposed to be hating, which we don't really understand why we hate in the first place, because we don't understand all the terminology. That's a big problem, and that's one of the biggest problems and flaws that this movie has overall. So let me know down in the comments, have you watched Dumb Money? And if you have not watched it yet, is it something that you're going to check out in the theater? Are you going to stream it? Or are you going to skip it altogether? Thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.